Morning, dear students. I am Sanju Hazria, Assistant Professor of English at Government College Ratangad. Today we will study Robert Browning's poem Rabbi Ben Ezra. This poem is included in BA Part 2nd by MGS University Bikaner. I am going to divide this lecture in two parts. In first part, I will provide introduction of the poem, introduction of the poet, summary of the poem and analysis of the poem. And in second part, I will explain this poem. So first section is introductory section. So first of all, introduction of the poet. You know, Robert Browning is the poet of this poem. So Robert Browning was born on 7th May 1812 and died on 12th December 1889. He was an English poet and playwright whose mastery of the dramatic monologue made him one of the foremost Victorian poets. His poems are known for their irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical settings, and challenging vocabulary and syntax. Browning's early career began promisingly, means he got success in his starting career but collapsed. But later his career fell down. The long poems Pauline was published in 1833 and Paracelsus, it was published in 1835, received some acclaim, some fame. But in 1840 the difficult Sordello, which was seen as willfully obscure, means he made willfully difficult, brought his poetry into disrepute. His reputation took more than a decade to recover, during which time he moved away from the salient forms of his early period and developed a more personal style. Means later he left the salient style. Firstly he was writing in form of Shelley, P.B. Shelley, but later he developed his own personal style. In 1846, Browning married the older poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning and went to live in Italy. By the time of her death in 1861, he had published the crucial collection Men and Women. 1855, it was published in 1855. The collection Dramatis Personae, it was published in 1864, and the book-length epic poem The Ring and the Book, it was published in 1868. 1869, it was the duration of its publication, followed and made him a leading British poet. He continued to write prolifically, but his reputation today rests largely on the poetry he wrote in this middle period. When Browning died in 1889, he was regarded as a sage. Sage means saint, because he was writing philosophical poems. So, and philosopher poet who through his writing had made contribution to Victorian social and political discourse. Usually for a poet, societies for the study of his work formed while he was still alive. Such Browning societies remained common in Britain and the United States until the early 20th century. So it was the introduction of the poet. Now introduction of the poem. As you know, we are studying Rabbi Ben Ezra by Robert Browning. So this is the introduction of the poem. Rabbi Ben Ezra is a poem by Robert Browning about Abraham ibn Ezra. He was born in 1092 and died in 1167. One of the great poets, mathematicians and scholars of the 12th century. He wrote on grammar, astronomy, the astrolabe, etc. It is not a biography of Abraham ibn Ezra. Like all of Browning's historical poems, it is a free interpretation of the idea that Ibn Ezra's life and work suggests to Browning. Theistic paradox that good might lie in the inevitability of its absence. The poem was published in Browning's Dramatis Personae in 1864. So this poem is taken from Dramatis Personae that was published in 1864. The second line of the poem, the best is yet to be, was adopted as the motto of the Anglo-Chinese Schools of Singapore, a family of schools founded as a Methodist institution in 1886. and is a well-known, well-endowed education institution in Singapore. Through the personage of Rabi Ben Ezra, a scholarly and learned Jew, the poem sets forth Browning's religious philosophy. The poem's final metaphor describes life as a pot that is fashioned by the master's hand and argues that the value of a person should be measured not by the work done but by the character that has been molded. So this is the introduction of the poem. Now summary of the poem. Summary of the poem, Rabi Ben Ezra. The poem is narrated by Rabi Ben Ezra. So the person is narrating the story, what happened to his life. So the poem is narrated by Rabi Ben Ezra, a real 12th century scholar. The piece does not have a clearly identified audience or dramatic situation. The Rabi begs his audience to grow old along with him. In line first he is telling that thing. He stresses that age is where the best of life is realized, whereas youth shows but half. Means in young age, people does not realize what is happening in their life. He acknowledges that youth lacks insight into life, since it is characteristically so concerned with living in the moment that it is unable to consider the deeper questions. Though youth will fade, what replaces it is the wisdom and insight of age. With old age, wisdom and insight of age comes, which recognizes that pain is a part of life. In old age, people recognize that pain is the part and parcel of life, but which learns to appreciate joy more because of the pain. Be our joy is 3 parts pain. All the while one should appreciate what comes, since all adds to our growth towards God, and embrace the paradox that life's failure brings success. He notes how when we are young and our bodies are strong, we aspire to impossible greatness, and he explains that this type of action makes man into a brute, means animal-like, violent. With age comes acceptance and love of the flesh, even though it pulls us ever to the earth, means nearest to the death. While some yearn to reach a higher plane, a wise older man realizes that all things are gifts from God, and the flesh limitations are to be appreciated even as we recognize them as limitations. His reason for begging patience is that our life on earth is but one step of our soul's experience, and so our journey will continue. Whereas youth is inclined to rage, means anger, age is inclined to await death patiently. Both are acceptable and wonderful, and each complements the other. What complicates the philosophy is that we are wont to disagree with each other, to have different values and loves. However, the Rabbi begs that we not give too much credence to the earthly concerns that engender argument and dissension. Means we should not give so much importance to our earthly concerns, our earthly ideas, and trust instead that we are given by God and hence are fit for this struggle. The transience of time does not matter, transitoriness of time does not matter in this point. Since this is the only one phase of our existence, we need not grow anxious about disagreements and unrealized goals, since the ultimate truth is out of our reach anyway. Again, failure breeds success. He warns against being distracted by the plastic circumstance of the present moment. So this line is very, very beautiful, in which he warns that we should not be distracted by the struggle of our life. He ends by stressing that all is part of a unified whole, even if we cannot glimpse the whole. At the same time, that age should approve of youth and embrace the present moment. It must also be constantly looking upwards towards a heaven to come, and hence simultaneously willing to renounce the present. So this is the summary of the poem, and now I am providing analysis of the poem. Analysis of Rabi Ben Ezra. Rabbi Ben Ezra is unique in Browning's oeuvre of dramatic monologues because, though it is written from the perspective of a historical figure, it does not contain any clear audience or dramatic situation. As such, it is more a philosophical text, means it is more philosophical text than a proper poem. Much of its meaning is dissected in the summary above, though this section will provide some context and simplification. Rabbi Ben Ezra was a real historical figure of the 12th century, known primarily for his philosophy that suggested good sometimes lies in its opposite, badness or pain. Browning often takes a figure from the past and uses dramatic irony to propose a conflict between the words and the meaning, but here lacking any sense of the audience to whom he speaks, a congregation, God, or himself, or of any stakes what he hopes to gain. We are merely to dissect the philosophy. The Rabbi's philosophy is a paradox. The struggles of life hold little meaning since life is but our soul's first step, yet the wise man should appreciate everything about life. Means wise persons always praise the things which bring pain or good things. Everything he praises. He praises old age as the time when our soul reaches best fruition on earth, because only in age can this paradox be appreciated. The Rabbi is willing to admire and appreciate every stage of life, even as he is quick to show the folly of those stages. For instance, youth operates from a place of carpe diem, means seizing the day, constantly and trying to transcend the limits of the body. The Rabbi notes that with age comes an awareness of the pain and difficulty of life, but he says that a wise man should not be weighed down but rather lightened by that realization. He preaches that we should accept the present but not let the concerns of the present dominate us. What lies at the center of his creed is patience and complicity to what comes. He does not deny the basic tenets of a carpe diem philosophy. Carpe diem means seize the day. Time is short and transient, means time is short and transitory. The body does not keep its youth. The world is full of wonderful things to be exploited, but at the same time, he believes that focusing on the ways of the world distracts us from our greater goal, which is to continue growing even in the afterlife. However, it is important to see that while he praises age as superior, it is only superior because it recognizes the beauty of youth's earnings. Without the latter, the former does not have the insight to both admire and renounce such actions. The most important lesson we learn in old age is that we can know nothing and never truly transcend ourselves. By accepting this limitation, we learn to be content and patient as we near death, which is not an end but a release to a greater sphere where our soul may continue to grow. The Rabbi embraces body and soul, youth and age, death and life, pain and joy, and all the while recognizing that the contradictions are the core, means contradictory things happen in our life, so we should accept everything in our life, and this wisdom comes in old age with time. They are beyond our comprehension, and by accepting that can we find true serenity. So I think you understood the introduction of the poem, summary of the poem, and analysis of the poem, and in my next video I will explain this poem. So thanks for watching this video.